Hey there, guys. So, I want to welcome you to today's midweek live stream, as always. So, as far as for anything that I want to discuss today in relation to my business, the only thing that I do want to mention is that I am offering 60% off all my online fitness programs until January the 8th. So, if you are interested in that, you can definitely reach out to me and let me know that you're interested, and I can get you set up and we can schedule your consultation. We can talk more about your goals. But that's one thing that I do want to mention in regards to, everything going on with my business at the moment. So that's going to be going on for the next few weeks. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me. You can send me a message here on Facebook or in the group, anywhere. You can comment. If you're interested, just let me know. So, with all that being said, guys, that's really all that I want to talk about in relation to, any promotions or anything related to my business. So, what we're going to be talking about today is about adequate protein intake. And I do have the next live stream scheduled as well. And I do want to mention that, or I don't have the event up right this minute, but I am going to be posting it, and it's going to be a little bit about the new year and sort of how to stay on track in creating like fitness challenges. So I did want to mention that as well, that I have that coming up in the next week. So, anyways, as far as for today's live stream, we're going to talk about adequate protein intake. And this is not a topic I've went into detail about. I have touched on protein a little bit, but I haven't went so far into detail. So this one's going to be a tad longer than some of my other streams, or some of my other presentations, I should say. So we're going to be talking about various different aspects when it comes to protein intake. And this isn't necessarily talking about, particularly to like muscle gain. This is basically, adequate protein intake in just a general sense. So, some of the things we're going to discuss today is going to be related to daily protein intake, the distribution of protein intake, post workout, quality protein sources that you should consider timing as well of protein, and then hydration as how it influences protein. So, these are going to be some of the topics that I'm going to touch on today. Again, it is quite a bit that I'm going to try to go over, but I am going to try to make it simple and in a way to where it's digestible, that you guys can understand, these topics that I talk about, because I don't want them to just be a bunch of crazy terms. I want them to be understandable to where you can take this information with you today, and it's something that you can sort of take notes on. So that's going to be all of what we're discussing today. So the first thing we're going to talk about in relation to adequate protein intake is going to be talking about just in general your daily protein intake. So, what exactly is adequate protein intake? So, this is basically ensuring that you're consuming enough protein daily. So, the recommended amount of protein varies, but a general guideline is around 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight for individuals engaged in regular strength training. So, that's a general guideline to follow. And again, this can sort of vary depending on where you're at in your fitness journey. And, you want to sort of adjust that protein intake as you gain muscle, or, you're losing, or you don't have as much fat. You do need to sort of gradually increase that protein intake to adjust to your particular goal. Now, the next thing is sort of going through how you should distribute protein intake throughout your day. So, not just in one particular meal, but various meals that you consume throughout the day. So, why exactly should you distribute protein intake? So, distributing protein intake throughout the day involves consuming protein rich foods in balanced amounts across meals and snacks. So, this approach is beneficial for maximizing the body's ability to utilize protein for various functions, including muscle protein synthesis, which I've discussed before. I think I discussed it last week when I did my live stream. And muscle protein synthesis is basically sort of how the muscles sort of repair from your workouts. Is that protein's using, all those enzymes, and it's repairing the muscle. And the more you intake protein, the more it's going to help to sort of develop those muscles. So, including protein sources in each meal, this can include lean meats, poultry, fish, eggs, dairy, legumes, and plant based protein options as well. So, consider when you have snacks, consider more protein rich snacks between meals. This can be a great way to sort of increase your protein intake if you lack it in some of your meals that you eat throughout the day. Pay attention to your portion sizes to ensure a balanced macronutrient distribution. So you don't want to just in particular focus on protein. You do want to sort of focus on all your macronutrients, which includes your carbs and your fats. And that's something that I could go on in another stream, but you do want to have a balance. You don't want to just overconsume protein. You do want to have a balance of various different nutrients so that your body is able to properly, repair and, keep you on track toward your goal. So, post workout protein intake, and this is something that I believe I talked about last week because I talked a little bit about muscle gain, but this really goes into, sort of individuals who have that muscle gain based goal. However, protein intake is still good for people who, are focused on fat loss because, when you have focusing on protein and when you have that muscle gain goal for protein, it's going to help with fat loss as well. So there's a lot of different factors that play into that. So why post workout protein intake matters. So there is a window of opportunity, quote unquote, post exercise where the body is more responsive to nutrient intake. So consuming protein within 30 minutes to an hour after workout is often recommended to maximize the benefits. After a workout, muscle protein synthesis is elevated, so consuming protein post exercise provides the necessary amino acids to support this process. So it's going to promote that repair and growth of muscle tissue. So for me, I usually always have my protein intake right after, or I have like a protein shake right after I have my workouts. Again, that's sort of that window of opportunity, quote unquote, where your body is it's maximizing that benefit of the nutrients intake, and it's helping, with that muscle protein synthesis because it's really elevated at that time after you finish your workouts. So that's one of the main reasons why it benefits you to consume protein right after your workouts. Now, just because you consume it later does not mean that you're not going to get, any results from that. It just means that it's going to be more of a benefit, and it's going to maximize those benefits more when you intake protein at that particular time. So the next we're going to talk about is quality protein sources. So why exactly should you focus on high quality protein sources? So you want to ensure that you're consuming enough protein daily. Recommended amount varies, but the general guideline is 0.8 to 1.2 protein per pound, so body weight for individuals engaged in regular strength training. So this is sort of rehashing here, but this is the reason you should have high quality protein sources is because you're going to reach your goal throughout the day. So you need to make sure that, you're being aware of any sources. So, like, for example, anything like peanuts or any sort of nuts are great for, protein intake, like I've talked about with snacks. So it just kind of varies with your quality of protein sources. So just focus on, a lot of those lean meats and anything of that sort. Fish is another great option. Those are all great quality protein sources. So, considering timing for protein intake, and this sort of goes back to what I just discussed a little bit ago when I talked about, the post workout protein and why it really benefits you to intake protein after your workouts. So why should you consider timing while implementing your protein into your diet? And again, this kind of goes back into what I just discussed, was a little bit expanding on that topic. So the timing of protein intake can be important for optimizing muscle protein synthesis and overall protein utilization. So especially in the context of a resistance training program, consuming protein before a workout can provide amino acids for your body to use during the exercise session. Consuming protein after exercise can help stimulate muscle protein synthesis, promoting muscle repair and growth, and it can also distribute protein intake evenly throughout the day rather than consuming large amounts in one or two meals. So that's sort of where you see why timing matters when it comes to, the muscle protein synthesis, as well as helping to provide your body with amino acids and just helping to promote that muscle growth and repair. So timing does matter, but again, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get any sort of benefits from intaking it at a different time. It's just it's going to maximize those benefits. So just keep all of that in mind. So hydration and protein intake, this is another thing that you may not be aware of when it comes to protein intake in general. So what role does hydration play in protein intake? So something you should be aware of is that water is essential for the digestion and absorption of nutrients, including proteins. So adequate hydration helps in breaking down proteins into amino acids, which can be absorbed in the digestive tract. So it's again helping that process of breaking down, that protein into amino acids to help, your body, repair and recover from your workouts. But again, protein is helping with that muscle protein synthesis. So this is again, maximizing the benefits along with, talking about, adequate timing, or, considering the timing that you intake protein, making sure that you're really, well hydrated is another great benefit that you should keep in mind. So that's another thing you may not be aware of. If you're intaking protein, make sure that you're hydrated. Let's see here. So I think that's actually it. Yep, that's the last one. Usually I have a thank you page, but I don't have that on there. So thank you guys again for taking the time to watch these streams. I really appreciate it. And it really means a lot that you tune into these. If you are interested in seeing any of my other live streams, I do post those to YouTube. This one will also be posted to YouTube. I post them every week when I finish the stream so that you're able to access them and watch them, because I know some of us have busy schedules and we can't watch these live all the time. So I do try to give you guys access to those. There's a ton of videos on there that you can watch on various different topics, and I always try to give you guys good informative content that you can sort of take with you and take notes of, and implement them into your daily life. So again, for the next week, I'm going to be talking about a little bit about different wellness challenges you can try to sort of keep you on track towards a specific goal you're working towards, whether it be based on fitness or nutrition. Maybe, you want to get more steps in during the day. There's a bunch of different challenges you can try, and I'm going to be discussing that a little bit into detail next week. So thank you guys again for taking the time to watch this. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next week Wednesday live stream.